There are a lot of tools out there for creating your dream vision. And in this video, I'm going to be sharing of the many, what I feel like have been thousands of visioning tools that I've used over the years, my top 3 for crafting the perfect business and life vision. I'll also be sharing with you why you shouldn't take one more single step in your business until you have crafted a very clear vision for your life and your business. Let's get into it. So when I left my 9 to 5 back in 2016, I honestly thought I'd left behind the culture of should. You should own an apartment by now. You should be this far along in your career. You should be married by this age. And honestly, there's just as many shoulds in the business creation world as there is in the corporate world as it is in, I'm sure, every other world. So it is so important to create a vision for your business and your life, possibly more so than when you were in corporate, because there are so many influences on social media around how your life ought to look as an entrepreneur. And so when you have that clear vision, you allow yourself to stay in your lane. You don't get caught up in other people's ideas of what your business and your life should look like. And you could spend years pursuing a particular vision that someone has handed to you from social media or from any of the influencers that you follow of what your life and your business ought to look like. And you're pursuing it and you're pursuing it, and you haven't taken that moment to really think, hang on, is this actually what I want, or is this me assuming this is what I ought to be pursuing? Now, if you don't take the time to create this vision, then you might find that you do pursue this vision that has been handed to you on social media for what your business ought to look like. And the implications of that is that you create the business, and then when you do finally reach the stage where you're connecting with your vision and you realize, hang on, this vision that I truly and authentically have is very different to what I've actually created, then at that point you're going to have to either live with what you've created because you've created a monster and now you have to live with it, or you're going to have to unravel and undo everything that you have created so far and then start from the ground up, building the vision for your business and life that really aligns authentically with what you want to create, which is obviously a great deal of hassle, a great deal of work, really unsettling. It can cause income loss and all sorts of different things that we don't want. So starting with a vision here is very, very important. So you don't have to undo further down the line. And kind of hand in hand with that point is that if you don't create a vision to start with, then you might find that you create perhaps a vision for your life and business that aren't as influenced by other people, but because it hasn't been sourced from that true authentic place of the kind of vision that you really and truly want for your life and your business, you may find that you've created a business that doesn't actually help you achieve the goals that you actually desire for yourself. So to illustrate this, let's say that you decide, okay, I'm going to create a business where I have 40 one-on-one clients per year. Obviously, that's going to be very labor intensive. It's going to require a lot of one-on-one FaceTime, either in person or over Zoom. But let's say that you come to realize that the vision that you have for your life is that you want to be traveling and seeing lots of places around the world. Well, you then don't have a business and a life vision that actually align with each other, because if you're seeing 40 one-on-one clients in the year, when are you going to have time to do that when you're supposed to be traveling the world and seeing all these people? What about jet lag? What about time zones? You might book it with one client while you're in Barcelona, and then the next week you're in Buenos Aires and turns out the call is in the middle of the night. So you need to be aligning your life vision with your business vision. And if you don't do this, then you might find that you've created a business that doesn't actually align with how you want to be living in your day-to-day lifestyle. Let's get into my 3 favorite tools that I have really kept returning to over the years. My first favorite visioning tool that I discovered was originally in the book The 12-Week Year by Brian P. Moran and Michael Lennington. It's a very good book actually, and I would recommend it. I'll link it in the description below. And in this book, funnily enough, they also start with the importance of a vision, and what they share is that you write a letter to yourself from the future to your current self or your past self, sharing what your life is like in really like a kind of like loving and fairly detailed way. So you do this for 5 years into the future, 10 years into the future, and 15 years into the future. I really like this one because it allows you to connect very emotionally with, rather than just writing a boring list, it actually helps you really connect and tell the story of what your life looks like in those different time frames. And I feel like it connects you with that deeper part of yourself that loves storytelling and is very visual and can use your imagination for what your life is going to look like in that time period. And what I feel like is really good about it is that it stretches your time horizon to far longer than what I feel like traditional visioning exercises do. Often we're looking 6 months ahead, a year ahead, but this is stretching you 15 years into the future. Like, it's actually fairly hard on an average day to envision what your life might look like in 15 years from now. So what I find is that it creates this really beautiful maturity and evolution of what you might say is your 1 year goal or your 5 year goal. And suddenly when you're thinking 15 years ahead, you're seeing perhaps some of the things that you had visioned and dreamed you'd created actually reaching their full maturity, and maybe you're visioning and dreaming of something completely different that you hadn't even conceived of. So it really stretches out your time horizon, really stretches out your imagination and the possibilities, because you can create really a huge amount of stuff in 15 years. So it really gets your mind working in this new way that perhaps it isn't used to working in. My second favorite model is the be, do, have, feel list. So this is a slightly modified version that I've kind of fudged together based on working with certain coaches myself, and just like changing it for how I prefer it to work. So I'll share with you the traditional way that this is used, and then I'll share with you how I like to use it. This methodology was originally crafted by Stephen Covey in his book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And his premise in this is essentially that if you want to have something, there's a certain way that you need to be. And when you're being that certain way, then you'll be doing certain actions. And then as a result of doing those certain actions, you're going to have the thing that you're saying that you want. So let's say that I want to sign 10 clients in the next 6 months. Well, who do I need to be in order to accomplish this? Okay, and then what do I need to be doing as that person I'm being in order to accomplish this? And what do I need to have in order to accomplish this goal? So that's the original use of the be, do, have list. So it's almost more around a specific goal that you're looking to create. Whereas I actually like to use the be, do, have, feel, I've added feel onto the end, list, in order to just brain dump every single thing that I feel like I want to be, do, have, and feel. You create 4 columns. In the first column, you put be. In the second column, you put do. In the third column, you put have. And in the final column, you put feel. And then you literally just populate each column with all of the things that you really want in those different categories. So I'll give you a few examples from my be, do, have, feel list. One thing in my have list is to own land around my home that has a running fresh water source like a stream, river, ideally a wild waterfall and lake, so somewhere deep enough that I can swim. I can go wild swimming because I'm obsessed with wild swimming. So that's in my have column. And then in my be column, I've got open and connected to my wild nature and living in a space and upon land that feels like a deep home. Then on my do list, I've got freedom and finance to go on retreats of all different kind as I feel like. So pilgrimage, Ayurveda, plant medicine, foraging, feminine circles, moon circles. Then what you do with your feel column is that you kind of extrapolate what it is that you feel like you're attempting to feel in your have, be, do list. So some examples for me here is to feel connected. So I want to feel like I'm really connected to earth, that I'm really grounded, that I feel really safe with earth. And I also feel like I want to be living in alignment with one of my most important values, which is adventure. So that's kind of what I've gleaned from extrapolating from the aspects of the have, be, do list, is how I want to feel as a result of having those 3 things. Yes, you can use it for specific goals. Like I could use it to say I want to sign 10 clients like I shared, or I want to create, 20,000 subscribers on YouTube. So I could use it for a very specific thing. But personally, I like to use it as just a total brain dump for all of the things that I would really love to experience in a kind of multi-dimensional way. And then what you do is that you just continue to go back to this list, continue to refine it, continue to add to it until you feel like you genuinely can't possibly add anything more onto that list. That's honestly the point where I'm at the moment, but over time maybe I'll be able to add new things onto my have be do list, but for now it's very clear and it's very comprehensive. And my third favorite tool, I wouldn't be called Akashic Code if it wasn't for the Akashic Records. The Akashic Records for me is probably how I actually managed to populate a lot of all of these other tools in the first place. So for those of you who don't know, the Akashic Records is, how would I describe the Akashic Records? The Akashic Records is a non-time reality where time doesn't exist, and it's kind of like the space where your soul resides, and all of the things that you've done, all of the experiences that you've ever had, all of the lives that you've ever led, all of the lessons that you're ever here to learn, they're all stored in this giant database of information that at any point in time you can go in and access and really learn what it is to be 100% you. So when you meditate and channel and go into the space of the Akashic Records, you're really getting to the absolute kernel of who you are and what you want and who you want to be and how you want to get there. So my favorite thing to do really is to go into a meditation, hold an intention for what I'm seeking to create, what I'm seeking to source around my vision, and then go in and into the Akashic Records and seek that insight and really learn about those aspects that I'm trying to create in my life. And often when you go into the Akashic Records in this particular way, you're receiving kind of as if you're in a movie. So you're actually seeing the visuals, you're not actually creating it or crafting it actively yourself. So you're simply receiving as if you were watching on an outside cinema screen, and you're just seeing these visuals of what your soul is telling you, essentially, that you're here to create and what would be the most aligned vision for you. And the thing is with the Akashic Records that it often doesn't just like dump that whole vision for you, which can be a little bit overwhelming and maybe you're not ready for certain aspects of it, but it's almost like it over time it drip feeds you a few more images, a few more sensations, a few more feelings, and then together you can piece that together and use some of the other tools that I've shared here to really craft and forge that vision for your business and for your life. So if you're interested in accessing the Akashic Records, I'm going to link a blog post below called What is the Akashic Records? If it will give a far better explanation than I've just given here for what the Akashic Records are. And there's also going to be a link below for the opening and closing prayer for accessing the Akashic Records. And inside that post is also a meditation that will take you to the cusp of the Akashic Records so that you can go in and sample and get a bit of a flavor for what your Akashic Records looks like. So that's a really good first step for you to start visioning for yourself in the Akashic Records. So there you have it, my 3 favorite visioning tools. And if you feel called, you can jump onto a 20-minute business ascension call with me where we'll access your Akashic Records and learn what's needed for you to 10x your business income. So if that sounds interesting for you, there'll be a link in the banner and I'll put a link below in the description so you can hop on board. There's nothing for sale on the call and it's just a way for me to serve my community and connect with you all. Now, I'd highly recommend that you watch this next video here, which is all about what to do when your dream vision just is not manifesting. I think that'll be a really good next video for you to watch here.